In modern history, few men have had a more lasting impact on the world than Martin Luther King Jr. The man whose tireless efforts and dedication changed the world, paving the way for a more just and equal society for all. Today we pay tribute to Martin Luther King's legacy and delve deeper into how his actions helped shape the world as we know it. Before we start, be sure to like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you fantastic new content. Martin Luther King Jr.'s early life was a tapestry of promise and resilience, woven in the crucible of the American South. Born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, he came into the world as the middle child of a loving family that would ultimately shape the course of history. Growing up in the heart of the segregated South, young Martin experienced the harsh realities of racial discrimination from an early age. Yet he was blessed with a family that nurtured his dreams and instilled in him the values of equality, justice, and compassion. His father, Martin Luther King Sr., was a prominent Baptist minister and an influential figure in the civil rights movement, while his mother, Alberta Williams King, was a gracious, nurturing presence in his life. From a tender age, King displayed a remarkable intellect and an unwavering commitment to justice. He skipped 2 grades in high school, entering Morehouse College at the age of 15, where he began to develop his deep sense of purpose. His education, infused with the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi and the philosophy of non-violent resistance, planted the seeds for the transformative leader he would become. King's early life was marked by a thirst for knowledge, a passion for social justice, and an unshakable belief that change was possible. It was this combination of a supportive family, a deep-rooted faith, and a tireless dedication to the cause of civil rights that molded him into the iconic leader who would later inspire a nation and change the course of history. The Montgomery Bus Boycott, which began on December 5, 1955, was a pivotal moment in the life and career of Martin Luther King Jr. It not only catapulted him onto the national stage, but also galvanized his commitment to non-violent civil rights activism. King's role in the boycott and its impact on him were profound, shaping the trajectory of the civil rights movement in the United States. The Montgomery Bus Boycott was sparked by the arrest of Rosa Parks, an African-American woman who refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger, defying the racially discriminatory laws of the time. In response to her arrest, African Americans in Montgomery, Alabama, organized a boycott of the city's public buses, refusing to use them until segregation on public transportation was ended. Martin Luther King Jr., who was a young pastor at the time, emerged as a central figure in the boycott. He was chosen to lead the Montgomery Improvement Association, an organization formed to oversee the boycott strategy. Under King's guidance, the boycott was characterized by peaceful protest, community organization, and the promotion of civil rights through non-violent means. The boycott lasted for 381 days and was ultimately successful when, in December 1956, the United States Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. This landmark legal victory not only desegregated buses in Montgomery, but also set an important precedent for challenging segregation throughout the South. The impact of the Montgomery Bus Boycott on Martin Luther King Jr. was profound. It transformed him from a relatively unknown pastor into a national figurehead for the civil rights movement. His commitment to non-violent resistance as a means of social change was solidified during this period, and it became a cornerstone of his leadership in subsequent civil rights campaigns. The success of the boycott gave King and his supporters a taste of what could be achieved through persistent, non-violent activism, and it served as a blueprint for future civil rights actions. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech is one of the most iconic and powerful speeches in American history. He delivered this historic address on August 28, 1963, during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. The speech served as a rallying cry for the civil rights movement and a call for racial equality and justice. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. In this speech, Dr. King passionately articulated his vision of a future where racial segregation and discrimination would be replaced by a society where individuals would be judged not by their race, but by their character. He called for an end to racial injustice and inequality, emphasizing the importance of non-violent protest and civil disobedience as the means to achieve these goals. The "I Have a Dream" speech continues to resonate with people worldwide and has become a symbol of the civil rights movement's struggle for justice and equality. It is a testament to the power of words and the enduring message of hope and unity in the face of oppression and discrimination. Martin Luther King Jr. played a crucial role in advocating for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, 2 landmark pieces of legislation that were instrumental in the civil rights movement. He and other civil rights leaders organized and mobilized mass demonstrations, boycotts, and protests to pressure the federal government to pass this legislation. King's prominence helped garner national and international support for the civil rights cause. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson, was a significant victory for the civil rights movement. It aimed to end racial segregation and discrimination in public facilities, employment, and education. King's leadership and the collective efforts of activists were instrumental in its passage. Not content there, Martin Luther King Jr. and his allies, who had long advocated for the protection of voting rights, organized voter registration drives and sought to expose and challenge discriminatory voting practices. President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into law, which included provisions to ensure fair and equal access to the ballot for all citizens, regardless of race. Martin Luther King's efforts, along with the work of many others in the civil rights movement, helped bring about these important legal changes that contributed to the dismantling of racial segregation and discrimination in the United States. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. on April 4, 1968, marked a tragic and somber moment in American history. King was shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee, as he stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. His death sent shockwaves through the nation and the world, sparking grief, anger, and calls for justice. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life was cut short, but his legacy and his dream of a more just and equal society continue to inspire people to this day. Martin Luther King Jr. serves as an enduring source of inspiration for social justice activists worldwide. His dedication to nonviolent resistance and his belief in the power of peaceful protest continue to motivate individuals and movements seeking positive social change. His example has been cited by activists involved in various causes, from civil rights to LGBTQ+ rights, environmental justice, and much more. Martin Luther King Jr.'s work has left an enduring legacy that has paved the way for greater educational and employment opportunities. benefiting not only his contemporaries but also generations to come. His commitment to civil rights, social justice, and non-violent protest has inspired positive change and continues to resonate with people around the world. He will undoubtedly be remembered as one of the most influential and society-changing individuals in history, leaving a lasting impact on the pursuit of equality and human rights.